In this video, Saryn is giving my dagger multi-shots.
It's fine. Oh my god! I died. It's okay. Yo, the homies came to help. I can't even see. I can't even see. It's okay, he died. I got it.
What's good, folks? It's NightmareFrame here with a new Warframe video coming at you with a Saryn versus level 9,999. First level cap in the year 2023. So I've had this build for a while and teased it a little bit on stream and one of my Saryn videos. Let's say quite a lot of people wanted to know how the build works, so here we are. This is the most comfortable endurance loadout that doesn't use invisibility or mesmer skin, because it just kills everything. I did do this level cap live on stream with viewers. It was a nice breath of familiar fresh air. Oh yeah, for the peeps who don't know, I stream live on Twitch every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, where I do quirky things on different games.
What? No!
Chill, watch videos, and discuss about other games. So come on over to twitch.tv/NightmareFrame, but you know, it has a little 3 because someone has the name. This build works for most Steel Path Endurance content, survival, cascade, and disruption. However, the disruption loadout is slightly different in terms of a couple of mods. For the Helminth ability, I am using Xata's Whisper, which kind of does similar things to Toxic Clash, but with a few key differences. They don't trigger each other, but can trigger together at the same time. There's a way to have them re-trigger each other, and that's with AoE status effects shown on my other video. But this one is more focused on giving melee multi-shots. Xata's Whisper and Toxic Lash both imbue your weapons with elemental damage, but do not combine with any of your modded elements. They are a damage instance that is applied separately and triggers together with your modded base damage. Xata provides void damage and Toxic Lash's Toxin. Toxic Lash is a force proc with Toxin and deals Toxin damage over time, and Xata's Void Bubble procs relies on your weapon's status chance. Both scale off ability strength, a percentage of the weapon weapon's total damage, elemental damage mods, crit damage, and faction damage mods. However, Toxic Lash gets an added boost with a Toxin elemental damage mod on your weapon. Faction mods affect both abilities slightly differently. On Xata, faction damage mods apply to your weapon and then apply the damage bonus on Xata a second time, and this causes Xata to double dip in damage. And with Toxic Lash, faction mods apply to your weapons first to then multiply the damage done with Toxic Lash and then multiply the toxin damage over time a third time, effectively triple dipping in damage. Both abilities have their unique damage modifiers on top of their elemental effects. Toxic Lash is simple, it doubles the damage when used on a melee. The unique effect and damage modifier that Xata provides is that it's a bullet attractor, like Mag's Bubble, and it has similar effects. If you shoot with Xata active, it will mark an area and force all remaining shots to always be redirected to the area that was shot first, no matter where you shoot into the bubble afterwards. For example, if you land a headshot first, proccing the Void Bubble, the whole bullet attractor is then turned into a huge headshot marker. And a headshot damage multiplier will also affect the damage done with Xata within the bubble. So when you shoot projectiles into a bubble, it will orbit around the enemy. However, hit scan bullets do not orbit the enemy. In this demonstration, I combine both Xata's Whisper and Toxic Lash, and I'm doing damage even though my weapon doesn't have any damage mods. Now let's give it a basic mod loadout and see the difference. As you can see, it's a significant boost in DPS. Okay, so now you want to know how am I making this work with a melee, giving it multi-shot and also armor stripping them. My main DPS weapon is a dagger paired with Amalgam Argonak Metal Auger. This mod allows each hit with daggers to armor strip a target by 6 armor. This is base armor strip and not scaled armor, so it works differently from corrosive projection and similar to shattering impact. Reminder, only daggers and not dual daggers, meaning it is a collective term of a singular item used with one hand. These hits by daggers also take into account the damage over time that they deal, and multi-hits coming from a weapon that proc damage over time. So any DOT works with this, but there are 2 elemental DOTs that are AoE and remain in the area, and that's electric and gas. Both are instantaneous procs and immediately start dealing damage over time and proccing within the area. However, gas is interesting as it scales even more if there are a lot of enemies, and if they're grouped up. This is where Toxic Lash and Xata come in to synergize and increase the damage and hit targets more than once with one hit, applying toxin damage over time and gas clouds trapped in a bubble. Another note, the combined elemental damage that is gas kinda works like Slash and Bleed. Sounds weird, but hear me out. The elemental damage mods do not affect its damage over time, but only the initial hit that deals gas damage. The DOT scales off modded base damage excluding your elemental mods. Just like when you add slash damage on a weapon that has slash, you don't deal more bleed damage, but more slash damage, and increase its proc priority. For more information about damage and multipliers, do go check out my damage guide to learn a lot more. Alright, hopefully you've listened and paid attention to the information that was given. If you didn't understand, use the timestamps. I will show you the disruption variant of the build first. Okay, onto the build. In the aura, I have Swift Momentum for the 6 seconds of combo duration and heavy attack wind-up speed. This 6 seconds of combo duration is going to be combined with 2 dexterity arcanes on my guns, giving my melee 26 seconds of combo duration. Prime Sure-Footed for the knockdown and stagger resistance. If you do not have this, use Handspring. Modded power strength is at 168% with Umbral Intensify and Augur Secrets. An additional 60% from Molt augmented at max stacks, taking my strength to 228%. Range at 130% with Augur Reach. This increase in range isn't for Spores, but for Molt, since Spores isn't going to be used as much in Disruption. These 2 Augur mods are here to refresh the shields, paired with additional Augur mods on my secondary. Duration is at 155% 25% with primed continuity, giving my Toxic Lash and Xata's Whisper amazing uptime of 69.75 seconds and 54.24 seconds. Prime Flow for the large energy pool and Equilibrium for the health to energy conversion and vice versa, since I will not be running efficiency mods. Rolling Guard for the status, effect cleansing, and 3 seconds of invulnerability after a dodge roll. And finally, I have Gladiator Finesse. To be honest, you can use any Gladiator mod here, it's just for the crits, but Finesse can be helpful if you do take a lethal hit. And finally, Arcane Strike for the melee attack speed when you crit. Now for the survival variant, all you have to do is replace Augur Secrets with Stretch to increase the range on spores and molts, and replace Gladiator Finesse with Contagion Cloud for a bit more AoE damage. However, the augment is down to personal preference, it just adds an additional layer of damage. In terms of Archon Shards, I have 2 yellow shards for casting speed, so I don't have to use natural talent on my Warframe build. And for a companion that doesn't die, but thanks to Warframe bugs, it still ends up dying, and of course it's used for the energy upkeep with Equilibrium. This is the Panzer Vulphaphyla. Mutagens are up to you. Synth Deconstruct will have a chance to drop health orbs if your pet assists in kills, and that is easily done thanks to Viral Quills. It spits viral spores on enemies and counts as an assist. However, you can't pick up health orbs if you're max HP. You can counteract that with Synth Fiber. If your pet takes a lethal hit, you have Panzer Devolution to turn into a Sentinel as it regenerates. And to stop you as the Warframe from taking a lethal hit, there's Martyr Symbiosis. The pet sacrifices itself to keep you alive. It can still remain alive thanks to Tech Assault. And the rest of the mods are basic utility. For the melee, I have my Bala Zaw built from the Bala Strike, Paya Grip, and Vargi 2Jai Link. This combination gives me a 1.17 attack speed, 32% crit chance, and a 2 times critical multiplier, and 10% status chance. As some might have noticed, I have 26 seconds of combo duration. This is from my aura and 2 dexterity arcanes on my guns. In the stance, I am using Pointed Wind for the arcane strikes that can hit heads, 4 slash procs, and an overall comfortable stance. Condition Overload for the increase in base damage when you have enemies affected by several unique status effects. Blood Rush for the crit chance. At max combo, I gain 172% crit chance. Pair this up with a Gladiator mod on my Warframe, it takes my crit chance all the way up to 208%. So consistent oranges and that random red crit. And since I'm critting 200% of the time, I need to multiply the damage my crits deal with Organ Shatter. With 10% status chance, I won't be proccing status effects as much, so add Weeping Wounds to take it up to 54% status chance at max combo. Range at 1.7 meters. We increase that range with Primed Reach. It's a dagger and you're going to be swinging misses without this mod. And my Primed Faction damage mod to multiply all my outgoing damage on my melee. And finally, Prime Fever Strike and Molten Impact to form gas. This increases my initial gas damage and not the DOT. This modifies my weapon to boost both Toxic Lash and Xata's Whisper, as they both scale of elemental damage mods. For the Arcane, you have 2 choices, Exodia Contagion and Exodia Triumph. Contagion does work with Condition Overload if it's on a direct contact hit, so the AoE explosion don't get the bonus. The projectile has to hit the target directly. And Triumph is a 50% chance to gain additional combo per hit, useful if you're careless about your combo management. For Riven recommendations for this particular build and not the Bala in general, I would go for crit damage and heat, or heat and attack speed with a negative. And if you don't want to run a Gladiator mod on your Warframe, you can go with crit chance and heat with a negative. I'm recommending double positives so you can maximize on the stats, as the Riven disposition isn't too great. Or if you don't mind triple positives and losing some stats, then crit damage, crit chance, and heat, or crit damage, heat, and attack speed with a negative. Why the negative? Because it greatly increases the positives. Looking at the Argonak with only 3 mods, Metal Augur for the armor strip on daggers and Amalgam Serration for the 25% sprint speed, and of course the Dexterity Arcane for the combo duration. And my utility secondary, which is my Epitaph, used as a primer to apply multiple status effects on the enemies to boost Condition Overload's damage. And of course the 2 Augur mods paired up with the other ones on my Warframe build to help refresh my shields and give me overshields, and works great with a Decaying Dragon Dragon Key. And lastly, the Focus Cool Vazarin, used for Protective Sling, granting you invulnerability and healing over time. Very useful against overwhelming amounts of Xmas effects and toxin damage. Alright folks, that has been it from this video, and finally you can see how this build works. If you've enjoyed and learned something from this video, please feel free to leave a like, share, and subscribe for more Warframe content, streams, and so much more. And do refer to the description. Thanks for watching, and as always, peace.